United's brand new A321neo, and how many other flights? Up next is the most hectic day of flying I've ever had, all to fly on this spectacular airplane. How many flights did I take? Did I make all my connections? Why am I running? Stay tuned to find out. Real quick, let's go over our flight plan for the day. We'll take United's 737 MAX 9 to Chicago, where we'll catch the A321neo to take us to Phoenix. From there, we'll fly southwest via Los Angeles to San Francisco, where we'll meet with the Delta 767-300 for the Redeye back to Atlanta before taking the 757 home. But it's January 2024 and the MAX 9 grounding still isn't lifted. So a few days before the flight, my first flight is canceled. I alter the itinerary to just fly the A321 leg and book myself an American flight to Chicago. Their terminals are right next to each other, so this should still be an easy connection.
So, it is 12:45 in the morning. I was staying up to check in for my Delta Redeye flight across the country. 12:45 local time, 9:45 Pacific time, just in case I got upgraded to move my seats around or whatever. And at 12:43, I got a text from American that said my flight is delayed 2 hours from 7:30 to 9:30 and will now get in to Chicago at 11:30. My United flight leaves at 10:45, so you do that math. There's no United flight for me at this point. So what I did, I just went back to Old Reliable. I went to Delta and I booked a quick flight at 6 in the morning through Detroit onto Chicago. It'll get us there at about just a little bit before 9, like 8:56 or something like that. And I got a credit from American. Now, that Delta flight is at 6, and like I said, it's 12:45, so it probably boards, and if my sleepy math is right, 3.5 hours. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit of sleep, but yeah, what have I gotten myself into? Good morning, it is 4:15 a.m., and I'm leaving the house a couple hours before I thought I was going to. That's a long story, but I think it's gonna be a good one today, so make sure you stay tuned.
But it turns out my day might look very different. On the ride to the airport, I got a text from United saying my flight is delayed over 2 hours to 12:50. My stomach sank. This makes our connection in Phoenix nearly impossible. Keep in mind that we'll need to re-clear security when we get to Phoenix to get from the United gates to the Southwest or the American gates. It's a calm, quiet morning in Concourse D, but I've never been this stressed to fly. Our first ride of the day is waiting for us after arriving last night from Detroit. And because we could use a little bit of good news today, upgrades cleared on both my Delta flights this morning. My seat for this first flight is 5D. It's one of Delta's domestic first class seats on their 737-900 ERs with great legroom. In the airport before the flight, I rebooked myself onto a later itinerary through Las Vegas that should hopefully accommodate our United delay. It's only another 55 minutes, but those could all be crucial.
Welcome to Detroit, where the local time is 7:23 a.m.
We have 42 minutes this morning in Detroit to make it from the south end to the north end of McNamara Terminal. And believe it or not, that's plenty of time. Detroit is a modern and efficient airport with lots of light, tons of restaurants, and of course, A350s. I find my gate, and the 717 is just about ready to board us to Chicago. We board right on time, and I settle into seat 11A up in Comfort Plus, also a free upgrade. But there's a fuel panel issue with this plane, so it doesn't look like we're going anywhere just yet. In fact, we actually have to get off the plane because this one can't take us to Chicago anymore.
That's a first for me. Had to deplane because the fuel panel was not working on that flight, but it sounds like the aircraft right at the gate right next door, going from A69 to A71. This next plane will be able to board us in about 20 minutes, and it shouldn't be too delayed. I have a good cushion in Chicago, even though I have to transfer terminals, so we're still doing okay.
I head over to get a good shot of the plane, or at least try to. Detroit has these dots that are supposed to protect the structural integrity of the glass, but they make spotting impossible. Detroit would be one of the best spotting airports if it wasn't for this.
Take 2, boarding now.
According to the upgrade list, I was the last cut before first class, so I just got upgraded to Comfort Plus. But in the commotion of that delay, about an hour, a first class passenger had to take another flight to make their connection. So a flight attendant came and found me and brought me up to first. This is my first flight since 2014 that I'm not in the window seat. But if there's one flight where that's okay, it's probably this one. Under an hour through the clouds, I don't really need the window, and plus I can be one of the first ones off the plane in Chicago so I can go through terminals. As expected, in-flight service was pretty minimal. And remember, on the 717s, there are no personal TVs.
We planed about an hour late into Chicago. Now time to find a way to get to Terminal 1.
O'Hare does have a train service that will take you between all 3 terminals. It wasn't hard to find and it was pretty fast, so it's not long before I'm airside in Terminal 1. Having pre-check is pretty clutch today. I step inside the United Club for a little breather and some lunch. The food spread is decent, more or less what I'm used to in the Delta Sky Club. We have plenty of time still before our flight to Phoenix.
Alright, so I'm getting the sense that the mayhem of this morning has died down just a little bit. Seems like United's pretty confident they're going to get us into Phoenix shortly after 3, and we will be in perfect shape for our 4:55 introduction there. I definitely was not in a good mood on the first flight. Just a lot to worry about, a lot to think about. But I'll work on getting my refund from American, and things will work themselves out. So we are 2 flights down. We have 5 to go, and look forward to seeing what else goes wrong.
I was still hungry after the food in the United Club, so I grabbed a quick bite. But to be honest, I don't have a huge appetite, and I'm starting to get a little uneasy about my connection in Phoenix.
All right, well, it sounds like our plane just landed. I'm out of the United Club now. I got some food just from another store in the airport. And it sounds like we're just going to make it. The departure got pushed back another 20 minutes. Remember, we still have to clear security and basically make it across the entire Phoenix airport with help of their air train in Phoenix. So it's going to be a close one. But I think if the plane gets in, in the next 10 minutes or so, which it should, and we're able to board and just get out of here, I think we'll be okay. But I don't think I'll be relaxed until we are on the plane to Las Vegas. So I hope my next update's a good one.
Finally, fashionably late from Orlando, here is our plane. In all this mayhem, it's easy to forget that we're here to fly this, the state-of-the-art brand new United A321neo. I'm so excited to see what's inside. But nobody here really seems to be in a hurry to board this plane. Finally, at about 12:50, I scan my boarding pass and we head on board this magnificent plane. United is working on bringing personal TVs to their entire fleet, similar to what Delta has. But there's still a big jump from some of the older screens to these new state-of-the-art TVs on this A321. Not only does it have a huge selection of shows and movies, but it has route information as well as in-flight meal service options. From when they announced boarding to the moment we started moving, about 36 minutes elapsed. That's quite fast for a full A321, all things considered. Think about it, boarding usually starts 40 minutes before departure. So I do appreciate United's effort to get things moving to the extent that they could control it. But man, it feels like every second counts right now. Now that we're on our way and everyone is in a better mood, it's a lot easier to appreciate just how quiet and comfortable this plane is. When we get to Phoenix, I'll have to move fast. I should have about half an hour between our gate arrival and when boarding starts for my flight to Las Vegas. Call me crazy, I know I literally have to cross the whole airport and re-clear security, but I'm starting to think that we can do this. After about 4 hours in the air, we're headed into a sunny but windy Phoenix. Alright, we're off the plane, boarding in 30 minutes. We've got to clear security. Let's see if we can do this. Our next flight is out of gate C19, which of course is on the very end of the farthest section of the farthest terminal from us. Before the boarding door even opened, I was able to wiggle myself about halfway up the cabin, which saved crucial minutes. You all know how slow people can be when you're in a hurry. I weave through the crowd in the terminal and find the SkyTrain after looking at some planes and leaving the secure area. We wait just a few minutes for the next train. It's a nice, easy, and scenic ride on a sunny day like today. Before long, we're in Terminal 4, and it's time to find the Southwest gates. That was easy. There was no one in the pre-check line, so that was a breeze. Of course, I got selected for random screening, but that only took a minute. In the situation, you can't help but laugh. After security, I find our flight 206 on the departure board to verify that it leaves from C19. We're on the home stretch. We got this. After, we get a look at Warrior 1. You can almost hear the angels singing. 22 minutes after the seatbelt sign went off, we are here at gate C19. And we have 10 minutes till boarding, so I can actually sit down and relax for just a minute. I bought the ticket and checked in well after 24 hours before the flight and was given a late B boarding position. But it's only $20 each leg to upgrade to A1 through 15. I was positioned A6 and sat myself in the first row. It's hard to overstate how different my mood is now compared to an hour ago, and especially 5 hours ago. I can't believe I made this connection. And everyone on the flight is in a great mood, it seems. Southwest just feels like home when you're on board. The flight had about 75 people on it, half full, so we were able to push a bit early and get on our way to Las Vegas. Just out of curiosity, let's get an update on that American flight I was initially booked on. It left 10 hours delayed. Could you imagine? I picked a seat on the right side of the aircraft for one specific reason. The scenery on this flight will be the best that you will get in the contiguous United States. We'll be flying under 30,000 feet on this short flight, and it'll be at sunset. We'll see Prescott National Forest, the western tip of the Grand Canyon, and Lake Mead, to name just a few landmarks. I'm done talking. Enjoy the scenery as we complete the flight from Phoenix to Vegas. That was one of the easiest and most pleasant flights in recent memory. And as another blessing in this chaotic day, I'm knocking a new airport off my list. This will be my first time in Las Vegas. We pull into the gate as the sun sets on the day, and I walk into one of the most colorful and loud terminals I've ever visited, thanks to all these slot machines. I grabbed a quick bite at Popeyes. I really haven't had anything substantial to eat since United Club in Chicago. Before we know it though, it's time to board our flight to San Francisco. I was positioned A8 for this flight. This aircraft still has the old 737-700 interior. We pushed back about 10 minutes late, but there's no worry here. We will have to re-clear security one more time in San Francisco, but we have plenty of time.
Vogliamo
These views of the Vegas Strip are stunning. There's just a light snack service on this flight. It's a pretty bumpy one as we head up the coast to San Francisco. Before long, it's time to head down for landing. SFO is operating with one of their major runways closed right now. 28 left and 10 right is undergoing a lot of work. As a result, the airport is seeing some temporary service reductions. Hopefully 28 right doesn't need any repairs after that landing. We pass by the Delta gates to get to the Southwest gates. And that's probably my 767 that's going to take us to Atlanta. If this flight was flown a few months later, we wouldn't have to re-clear security. But there's a major construction project going on to connect terminals 1 and 2 here, so we'll actually have to go out to the parking garage and take another train to the Delta gates. I haven't been to San Francisco since 2013, and I have to say, this terminal is immaculate looking. After a little while and some confusing signage, I find my way to the air train here. This takes me right over to Terminal 2, where I re-enter security and head to the Delta Sky Club. I had to clear security 3 separate times during this trip after my first airport. Having pre-check was so important here. I actually never saw another person in line. There's nothing like some time in the Sky Club to unwind before a red-eye flight. The clean bathrooms are a much more pleasant place to brush your teeth and get yourself ready to sleep than are the bathrooms in the concourse. And of course, a bourbon or 3 helps one slip into a nice deep sleep. This SFO Sky Club is nice and big, yet quiet. They still had plenty of food in case you were hungry. This is just what I needed. After a while, it's time to head to the gate. It's at the very end of this concourse. The gate area is full of gate lice for whatever reason. You know you already have a seat on this plane, right? Relax, people. We board right on time. The 767 is quickly becoming one of my favorite planes, and I'm looking forward to this flight. Delta's, like most, is in a 2-3-2 configuration in economy. That means only 1 seat per row is a middle seat. I'm also getting very tired. On Redeyes, I put my backpack in the overhead to give myself some more legroom to sleep. We get a glimpse of one of JetBlue's A321s in their new livery. I'm dying to try this airline sometime soon. Fortunately, it's a very quick taxi out to 1 right tonight. We're looking at just under 4 hours in the air across the country, thanks to some nice tailwinds. Unlike the Salt Lake City to Baltimore Redeye I flew the week before, this crew didn't do any service besides cups of water, so I went right to sleep. I've never slept this much on a plane before. I was probably awake 20 minutes of the whole flight. I woke up to find us ascending through 15,000 feet with the wing light already on for our approach into Atlanta. It's a tough change from that quiet 767 to this loud and bustling terminal, even this early in the morning. But before we go to the Sky Club, check out one of my favorite things about Atlanta, these restaurants that stick out. I get such a good view of the plane that just took me in here from San Francisco. I'm just headed one terminal over, so as usual, I'm going to take the walk. I love this particular corridor right here to take us from A to B. It's about 5:20 in the morning, and the Sky Club doesn't open until 5:30. That just means I'll be the first one in the Sky Club today. That's pretty cool.
So here we are in the Sky Club. After 7 flights booked, we are down to 1 more, and the level of comfort and stress is so different than it was even at like 3 p.m. yesterday. I think as soon as I cleared security in the southwest gates of Phoenix, it just like turned a page. I was so worried the whole day about making that. And then after that, you could relax. The Southwest flights were super, super easy. And of course, I know Delta so well. They take good care of me. I slept pretty well on the flight. I don't usually, but I was only up a couple of times. And then like I blink and we're descending through 20,000 feet into Atlanta. So all things considered, I think that was a really enjoyable experience across the country. And about to head home, probably board in 45 minutes or so. So yeah, this has been one for the ages for sure. But I'm glad we got on basically everything we tried to get on, and it's still a great time.
And after all that, it's time to head to the gate for the final leg of the trip. And I got a nice little Comfort Plus upgrade for the last flight. I don't think Redeye flights are that hard. I think the flight after Redeye is near impossible. I am exhausted. Fortunately, I live about 15 minutes from BWI, and it's a Sunday, so I can go home and lay down for as long as I want to. Somewhat ironically, the perfect ending to this trip is a beautiful sunrise. There was a light in-flight service, about what you would expect for an hour-and-a-half flight. We're mostly cloud surfing from here on out. The in-flight flight tracker wasn't quite behaving for this one. No big deal.
Welcome to Baltimore, where the local time is 8:46 a.m. Please stay seated with your seatbelt securely fastened and carry on stowed until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign.
After over 26 hours, we're back at BWI. There really is no place like home.
And again, enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. Go Chiefs. I'm just playing.
This was the craziest, most hectic day of travel I've ever had. And I said the same thing about my trip 2 weeks ago. It's been a crazy month. This time, it was all to fly on United's A321neo. I think 7 flights in a day is definitely my limit. I'm exhausted, of course, and I don't know it at the time of filming, but I'm going to watch the Ravens break my heart again in about 10 hours. But this trip turned into another adventure I will remember for a long time. I'm always grateful to the crews and employees at every stop along the way for making the day as fun and safe as it is. I hope you enjoyed this trip around the country with me. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I have more great aviation content coming your way soon. Till next time.